that I've had with, or conversations I've ever had with kids like this, and we've had a few young men that have not had the ability to go to college or the means to go to college if it wasn't for baseball. But I had a young man, I'm not going to mention by names, but the only way he could go to college was through baseball, and he did a far reach and ended up at a Big Ten school and ended up with $90,000 in college debt. And he kept telling me on the phone in the conversations over the next 3 years, man, I'm worried. I think I better just be done because I'm going so much into debt. Well, 3 years later, I got a call from a young man that was crying. And I thought to myself, oh my God, something really seriously happened to him because I love him to death like a son. He said, RJ, I just signed a professional contract enough that I paid off my student debt. So not only did he get a chance to go to college, but he got a chance to go play pro ball, and he made enough money to pay off his college debt, and he has a degree. He's 26 years old now, has a job, a college degree. He's the first college graduate in his family. He's the first, he owns a house now and everything else, and a lot of that has to do with the baseball end. Obviously, the professional baseball lasted a few years, but he's a debt-free young man because of the sport of baseball. So some of you guys that have money, or parents that have money, your job is still to get out of college and make a buck. Make a buck into pro ball and earn your own money that way, not on your parents' dime. Okay, that being said, if I could get Mr. Kelnick to come up and talk, say a little bit about these guys that he's coached for the last few years, and then Mr. Campbell, Jacob Campbell, is going to say a word, and then I'll finish it up. If you need this, you can have it.
Thank you. First I want to thank RJ for giving me the opportunity to coach these guys. We had I think I took them when, I think it was fall of U11 is when I actually jumped aboard. And like he said, some of you guys have been with me from day one, and some of them we've picked up along the way. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And then the parents, thank you. It's not a situation you see a lot in travel ball where you have a dad coach, and getting emotional too.
Tough.
A lot of these guys are special, right? We had some really funny moments on the road, in the hotel rooms, in the van. Some probably more with Coach Durst than me. But I look back at some of the games that we had, and I thought you guys grew the most when we lost, right? And keep that in mind as you move forward, right? It isn't just winning. Some of those games we go out to and we would win 15-2, and we'd all feel good and talk our crap and so on and so forth. But you grew as players and as a team when we lost. And I think of some of you guys, the biggest win that we had, I don't know who was with us, is when we beat the Fort Worth Cats. Who was with us? There's a couple of you. And it was probably the only game, and I could be wrong, where I got crazy in the dugout, right? They come walking in from Texas. Here we are from Wisconsin, and they thought they were going to kick our ass. And I think we run ruled them in a short game. We didn't even give them time to breathe, right? And I got pretty crazy in the dugout, and I thought you guys saw it, and it was just interesting to see how they all started to say, hey, we have to come together to beat teams that are good. And it was good to see. I could go down the list. All of you parents, I'm sure, did the high school thing, and AD said how proud they were, of this player. But I really wanted to talk a little bit about being a parent with a college player or a pro player. this has been easy at the travel ball level as a parent. They all played, right? They all had success. And the most difficult part about sports is when your kid fails. Failing is tough, right? And all I can say is be there. As much as you can, be there for your son. Because before you know it, it's over, right? Sorry. I didn't think this was going to happen.
It happens every year, man. So.
But we were fortunate to have a daughter play college softball, right? You struggle. Having her play, you see things different than the coach sees, right? Some of you parents out there have come to me and we've tried to do the best we could to put your son in the best situation. Moving forward, you have no control. No control of what happens on that field. So when they get off that field, just be there. Because before you know it, it could be over, right? Obviously with Jared, we look at social media and there's a lot of people that don't like him. It's tough as parents to see that. And you're gonna see it, right? With this game, you could have 2 really good games and 2 really bad games. But just be there, you know, try to keep them motivated. They've all worked really hard to get to this point, right? Thanks to him. And giving them every opportunity to be successful. And just remember where you came from. You know, I think the guys from Wisconsin have done a good job of putting Wisconsin on the map as guys that can compete and play. But we're not there yet. You're not going to get a free pass, right? You're going to have to work harder than the kid from, you know, Georgia or California or wherever. And you're going to play against those guys, and you're going to have to work harder than them. And you've shown it here you can do that. And just continue to do that. All right? I'm proud of you. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for all you did.
Keep going. All right?
All right, the next up, the one that's going to talk, guys in the past, like Craig Counsell had speaking, and I brought in college coaches and whatnot, and their stuff was great, but they're at a different level, and they haven't been where you guys are going in years, you know? So this is Jacob Campbell. Jacob agreed to come and talk. Jacob was a 2018 grad. Had a lot of success, went on to play at the University of Illinois, but he'll tell you the rest of the ups and downs of college and what it takes on that end. But just listen to what he has to say. And someday you're in a class, someday you're on a field, someday you're at practice. Just remember the tidbits of what the information you're going to gather, and then use that and apply that somewhere else is all I'm asking you to do. Jacob Campbell.
Y'all take a microphone. Hope everyone's having a good time. This is an awesome event. I just want you guys to know that, you know, it was only 5 years ago today that I was in your guys' seats. So, you know, a lot of this stuff is fresh on my mind with a college career in the past now. And I just had a few things written down here. But before I get into it, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Jacob Campbell. I'm from Janesville, Wisconsin, a town about an hour west of here. And you know, I heard through a couple of my friends that played at Craig High School that, you know, hitters is where you want to be if you want to play baseball at the next level. So I took their advice and I started playing for RJ, and I played for a couple of years here and a couple falls as well. And I really feel like, you know, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have, you know, went on to play college baseball and definitely not play professional baseball. So, you before I get into the three things I want to talk about, guys, I have to say you must thank your parents for all this. They've made tremendous sacrifices in order for you guys to be here, as well as thank RJ and Tom and Dan and Jen and Max and Andy and everyone who makes Hitters Baseball what it is today, because they've taken time out of their lives and they've made huge sacrifices for you guys to be here. And don't take that stuff lightly, because it's something that you should really thank them for. So the first thing I have written down here, guys, is the word commitment and what it means to truly be committed to something. And it's funny because you see the word committed a lot, and it's almost overused, I would say. You look at any future college athlete's Instagram bio or Twitter bio, it says committed to wherever. But now, a couple weeks ago, that changed from committed to signed, right? Signee, you're no longer commit. You signed that contract. And I remember when I was in your guys' shoes, that was a huge deal. And it is a big deal. But that, even though that commitment leaves, it has to stay. You guys have to stay committed. And the commitment is a lot of things. But mostly it's sacrifice. You guys have to sacrifice, some things that you might not think you have to, and that may be relationships, friendships that you had in high school that you won't have in college. And it's unfortunate, but some of those people will always be in your life, and when you meet up with them down the road, you will pick up right where you left off. But there's sacrifices that need to be made to have success in the future. So another thing I have is with on the commitment thing, you have to be a student of the game, okay? So I've had the chance the last couple of years to talk to some really good baseball minds, coaches, players that have been in the game for decades, young players, young coaches, foreign players and foreign coaches. And the one thing that rings true throughout every conversation I had is that you have to continue to learn the game and be a student of the game, because the game's always evolving, it's always changing, and that was a constant thing that I learned. So, make sure that you guys invest yourself to learn the game, and really keep that in mind, because that's huge. And then another thing here is, be a good person. That's a big one, guys. That might be the biggest one I have on here. When I first got down to Arizona, and my coaches had meetings with me and the rest of my teammates, they said, or one coach in particular, he said, we have good players, or he said, we care about two things here: you being a good player and performing, and you being a good person. And he said, unfortunately, there's guys that are good players, not good people, but they stick around because it's a business. Okay? On the flip side, there's, good people, and then there's the good people that haven't really proven themselves on the field yet with their play. Those guys still stick around a little bit because people want to be around other good people. But if you're a bad person and you're not performing, you're not going to last long anywhere. College baseball, professional baseball, those guys don't stick around. But those that are good people and good players, those are the guys that make it the furthest. So keep that in mind. Next thing I have here is representation. All right, so when you guys go to college, you're going to be representing more than just yourself. You're representing your families, you're representing your high schools, your hometowns, and Hitters Baseball. So just realize that every decision that you make, it will have a consequence, positive or negative, and that is going to be a direct reflection upon those that you represent. So, the last thing you want is, for RJ to hear so-and-so stole something, or this person, got in a fight, got kicked out of school, and then they're like, oh, that's a Hitters guy, or that guy played for RJ. You don't want that. So realize how much RJ is given to you guys, and then in turn, just be a good person, and that's all you guys have to worry about. Another thing with representation is networking. Okay, I didn't really realize how important this was when I was your guys' age, but it's super important. Having those conversations that maybe seem a little uncomfortable, putting yourself in situations that, you know, maybe your parents tell you to do, or they say, or your coaches say that this is a good event to attend for future jobs, all that stuff, do it. Even if it's uncomfortable, you guys have to dive headfirst into things that maybe, you know, you'd rather sit on the couch and play video games or something. We all love doing that, but you can't do that all the time. And last thing I have here for representation is NIL. So name, image, likeness. You guys are going to be able to profit off of that. And that's something that happened later in my career. My junior year is when that got introduced. And, you know, we kind of just all thought of it as like, this is for the basketball players, this is for the football players. You know, we're not really going to make much money on this. So I wish I would have capitalized on that more. But guys, I'm telling you, I know teammates, guys that I played with before college that ended up making tens of thousands of dollars through NIL. And that comes through networking and putting yourself out there. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. The last thing I got written down here, guys, is finish in all capital letters with a period at the end, because I really feel like that kind of embodied my college career, and it sure as heck is part of the culture here at Hitters, is you finish. You finish where you start, whether it's a sled push, you know, you push it down, you finish, you're up. Whatever it is, you start something, you finish it. Empty the tank, guys. Every day, play every game like it's your last game. You know, it sounds so cliche, but the irony of life is that the things that sound the most cliche are often the things that you should do, the way that you should live your life. So, you know, treat people the way you want to be treated. You hear it all the time, but that's the way you got to live. So I'll just run you through my career a little bit. So I was pretty highly touted out of high school. You know, played well at a lot of you know, events. And then I was eventually drafted by the Chicago Cubs out of high school in the 36th round. I decided to go to college because that was the right decision. But at that point, I kind of didn't really realize the true value of learning the game, being open to learning and everything that way. So I kind of thought I had some stuff figured out. And as soon as you think that, man, this game will humble you in a second. So I went to school my freshman year. I didn't have success. I hit 197, did poorly, didn't even come close to meeting my expectations for myself. And at the end of the day, I lost trust from my coaches, and I was very down on myself mentally. So I kind of took that same frame of mind into summer ball in the Cape Cod League after my freshman year. And didn't do well, played about every third game. Came home halfway through the summer with a busted up thumb and my tail between my legs, thinking that, you know, maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe I should have went to play pro ball and, you know, started my journey that way. So whatever, time passed, it was kind of in the rearview mirror, and then went back to school the fall of my sophomore year. Having a good fall, everything was going great. Working really hard to earn the trust of my coaches back. And then my hand kind of started hurting, playing through pain, which is never fun in any sport. And that carried on through the winter and into the season. And I eventually broke my hand. It would have been the 13th game of the season, my sophomore year, which was the last game of our season due to COVID. So, you know, our coach brought us back. We had, you know, a team meeting. He sent us all home, and that was it. You know, I was damaged goods. My hand was broken. I had nothing to show for it, and now my sophomore year's gone. So I went home and had to finish all school online, and I'm looking back on my college career thinking, like, man, I haven't accomplished anything yet. Like, I came in with high expectations. Now I'm about to be a junior, and I have nothing to show for it. So that's really when the switch flipped in my head that, man, I got to really treat every game like it's my last, and put every ounce of effort and energy I have into being great. And that's eventually what I went on to do my junior year. Had a good junior season, but my starting position had kind of been ripped away from me because, you know, I didn't earn anything. I hadn't done anything. So I had to split time with another guy. Ended up earning my spot back for my senior year, and I was the guy in my senior year, played every single game, and had a lot of success. And then, you know, that was this past spring, this year, and the Padres signed me in July. So, you know, I stand before you guys today, a member of the Padres organization, and that's solely because that switch flipped in my head, and I knew that, you know, I might not be playing baseball next year. That was my thought process this spring. So I was like, I better give it all I have, or this could be it. So like Tom said earlier, man, this stuff goes really fast. So you guys have to take advantage of your opportunities. And if your goal is truly to play baseball after the college level, you have to make those sacrifices, and you have to be committed to getting better every day and being a good person. Thank you guys. I enjoyed talking in front of you today, and if you guys have any questions for me, you can just come up to my table at any time throughout the night and ask me anything you want. Like I said earlier, I was in your shoes 5 years ago today, so this stuff is fresh on my mind, and I'm not a huge public speaker, but RJ asked me to speak about a week ago, and I thought to myself, man, well, it couldn't be any more uncomfortable than pushing sleds over there, so I figured I'd give it a try. So,
All right, thank you.
Congratulations, you guys.
All right. For as long as we've had these dinners, we've had someone talking, but I always start this part here by, fellas, if you think for 1 second that what you're doing in this fall, what you did in the summer, for the committed guys, what happens at college, if I don't get a phone call that day or the next day, something's hurt or whatever. You never hear from the college guys when everything's going well. But Tom can attest how many times he's walked in and I've been on the phone. You know, they'll follow you guys on Game Changer. They'll follow on the Twitter. They'll do all that. And, you know, if you're out throwing 100 miles an hour, doing great, I don't hear a word. But the minute that it goes down, what, is he hurt? Is he okay? The minute that you get on campus, hey, man, what's wrong with this? You know, this is the first year that we've had in many, many years that we don't have a kid going to Illinois State University. Illinois State was always a great fallback school. I mean, it's a Missouri Valley school. They've done well. We've had good players there. We had a couple of brothers go there, a 2018 and a 2019 grad that got in all kind of trouble, caused all kind of issues with their coaches and the dean and everything else. Well, James Duncan was already committed, you know, so that was the 2022 guy. He committed as a freshman. And then since then, the phone hasn't rang. So two brothers can ruin a 15-year relationship with guys like that. Like Jacob is saying, you're handling yourself. It's not about you. You got to think about the kids that are here behind you. They might want to go to Michigan. You know, like Jack. I mean, Jack wanted to go to Michigan, okay, but look at Mitch and look at Kim. Now what they're doing there. You go there, do the same thing. You think Michigan's going to come in his door some more? Barron's in Burns, you guys are opening a new door, right? How you guys ended up there is I get a phone call during area code tryouts. There's two other kids at area codes from Wisconsin that were uncommitted. I get a phone call. I said, man, I don't know nothing about them kids. I don't got their number, but all I know is I got two arms that are better. And I kept telling him that. He came up and watched you pitch. Next thing you know, you're good kids. You got it all figured out financially. You get a chance to go to help turn a program around. So help for the next kids. You know, the next kids that come, the next kids that come, the next kids that come. You know, that's important. You know, so you carry yourself as a hitter, and you look in your mind, I do not quit. I signed at a university. I got to do whatever I can starting today. Right, if you haven't been doing my lifting, my throwing, my hitting, my infield work, my pitching, my catching, whatever I can do to try to get drafted in June or in July, okay? If I'm not training and I'm not doing that, you have zero chance of getting on the field there when you are a freshman. Now, am I going to get there as a freshman and say, I'm going to stick it out and I'm going to play it out and I'm going to play, or, man, the coach doesn't like me, he's not playing me, I'm going to leave? That's not what we do here, and that's not how you were raised here at Hitters, right? You got to go in to that school assuming that you got to beat out a 23-year-old kid. So if my dedication to what I am doing right now is not weight room, not my craft of baseball, I'm telling you, you got a wide open surprise when you get there. Because what do you think the kids that are at that university are doing right now? What is your brother doing right now? In their weight room stuff and everything else? Well, they're up, Jacob, when you were in college, 6 a.m. every morning, 5 days a week. They're in the weight room. So I'm in the weight room now. I mean, they're in the weight room for real. They're diet. They're fed. So everything that I'm saying is what you got to understand what you should be doing now to prepare for when you get there in August. Freshman year of your freshman fall of your first year in college is your make or break year. That's where they decide if they're going to keep you, if you have potential, if you came in ready, if you're mentally tough enough, or did they miss on you? I've had guys, fellas, I had a left-handed pitcher that was good, really good. He decided I'm gonna go play basketball or play with you, 1 year ahead of you. And he was committed to Oklahoma State University. He showed up before he registered for the class. He went out and they had a week workout with a bunch of the guys. Before they registered for class, he got sent home. I've had players that have showed up at the university that got sent home before they had a chance to do anything on a baseball field. They showed up fat, they showed up skinny, they showed up out of shape, they showed up looking like they would not want to be at that university. Number one, the first thing that they see is what, fellas? First thing that college coach, when you show up at campus, what do they see? They see you, your body. How am I different from the last time that I saw you? It's the first thing they're going to say. You walk in, you're in shape, hair's nice, everything else, I'm clean cut. That's what they see. Right? How's his body changed since the last time I saw him last summer? The other thing is those that go to summer school. Your last season that you will play baseball will be your high school season. Now let's be honest. The high school baseball season that you play, does that prepare you to go to play at the University of Illinois or the University of Louisville or Oakland University? Like, how many baseball players do you play against? How many pitchers, how many arms do you see that are going to be able to play at the Division I level? So then, all of my stuff that I do the winter prior, all of the stuff that I do prior to going to college, all of that matters. You know, so all I can say is the 22 class, all those guys are doing really well. The 21 class, everyone's doing fantastic. The 20 class, everybody's doing well. Jacob Campbell's class, the 2018 class, fantastic careers. The 29 class, okay? We had a bunch of guys that decided they weren't going to play fall ball, they were going to go play football. We had a bunch of guys that decided they weren't going to come in and do stuff in the wintertime. They've done it their whole lives. 2019 class, we have 3 guys out of 20 guys that committed that are still playing college baseball. A bunch got cut the first year, but we have 3 guys and that went on, right? One was a second rounder, okay? The other ones are Paul Tietz is playing a lot at University of Purdue. The other one, Xavier Watson, he's sitting on the bench. He's a party planner. All the rest of the guys are done. And that's the truth, man. I mean, that's what happens. You have big classes, next thing you know, Oh man, I'm not going to work at this. I don't need to do this. I don't need. Well, so you take a $1.5 million signing class, and you could pretty much say that they lost $1 million in scholarship money that was taken away. Like this class is almost 2 million, right? How many are going to get their degrees? How many are going to keep their scholarships and go on? That's the key. You know, the 22 grads, you know, I think all have made it through the fall. None got released. You know, I don't hear any rumblings about guys wanting to leave. Oh, one guy wanting to leave, but he never made it, never finished the sleds, Jacob. He had a hard time with that. But just go there with the mindset, I mean, I'm not quitting. Because what happens, you come back here and you walk in the door, I get a phone call, which I get. You know, hey man, can you help me out? This isn't working for me at this school. You know, we got a phone call from a couple guys in your class. Okay, they decided I'm not going to play in the fall. I got to do this or I'm going to do that. Well, hey man, can you help me find a school? Well, what am I going to do now? Then I get a call. Okay, so I call up some of my friends at the junior college level. I call them up. I got 3 guys to text them, hey, return the call. All 3 guys, they didn't answer the phone. After the guy called me and we help him out, doesn't answer the phone, and he texts them back, hey, no, thank you, I'm going in another direction. 12 hours after I had a conversation with the kid begging for me to help him find a place to go. So instead of him calling me saying, hey, you know, I don't want this, but all I did is set him up to what he wanted to go, and I talked to the friends that I know and go from there. So bottom line, you go to the school, a lot of you guys are going to colleges and playing for my friends, for guys that I have a conversation with once a week, once a month, twice a month, more, sometimes twice a week. You know, and the conversations aren't always about baseball, it's about families and how are things going and about other players. So go there and make us all proud here. You guys understand this? Don't quit. You know, it's hard. I'm fully aware of that. All right. Each year I bring back, and make this quick, I come back with little memories of first time I meet players and what I remember at that time. It's not about their careers, it's about that. Well, Thomas Burns, he was here 1 year. I did not know who Thomas was when him and his mom walked in the door. I think Tom Kellenick said that they're going to come down and talk. At the time they were, I don't want to be rude, it was like window shopping between programs. You know, GRB, come and interview where you want to go. From Caviani, he came down from Rick Caviani's place. He walked in, an imposing 6'5", right-handed pitcher, never saw him throw at a pitcher's body, the whole thing. All I said is, Thomas, you need a haircut. You know, you want to look the part. You know, his hair's okay now, but it was a lot different then. You know, things that way. Talk to them about the work and stuff that's put in. They are not from our area per se. Up in the Appleton area. Thomas also played hockey at the time. So I had just said to him, I says, you got hockey? Okay, but you got to make it down here twice a month. I understand you're training up there. You made the commitment. Goes on, trained hard, did it, was one of the better arms that I saw, came and played with the 2022 grads in a fall event. Did fantastic. Guys started to get on him and whatnot. Thomas obviously chose to go to warm weather. I think you chose the right school for your path. You know, just keep working hard and make some money, man. Thomas Burns, stand up. Arizona State University. All right, Tyler Butina. First time I met Tyler, guys, was at our end of summer camp. You know, and I was like, man, can this kid hit? I mean, I think the first, in the BP game, you're hitting balls over the fence. And then the next thing I noticed at the camp the first thing I noticed during the workout portion is Tyler's a left-handed hitting, left-handed throwing first baseman, but he's got feet that work defensively like a middle infielder. And I mean, you defend, I tell you that at practice all the time. So I'm talking with the guys from Central Michigan and whatnot, and they're like, what do you think about Butina? And I says, well, he's never played here, but I've heard, and from what I've seen out here, he can really defend, and he's got some left-handed juice in the bat. You know, I don't know if that's where it all came from or it started, but, you know, that's my first memories of Tyler, is watching him take infield at a camp. And I'm like, man, this kid can play. Stand up. Tyler Bettina, Central Michigan University. Thomas Curry is not here. He has his official visit at the University of Missouri. Thomas joined us here at this time last winter. Congratulations, Thomas. Okay, Adam Behrens. Okay, Adam, first time I saw him or heard of Tom is I was not here for the 2023 grad tryout a few years ago. And Tom Kelnick calls me up and he says, hey, man, I got an arm. I was like, what do you mean you got an arm? Yeah, he says, I got an arm that I think is going to be really special. I said, well, take him, man. See if you can get him to come and play. So then I see Adam shows up. You know, I meet him a little bit after that, and I'm like, Tom, man, the guy's out of shape. I said, what the heck? You know, what's going on? So I said to Adam, I'm like, hey, man, you need to get yourself in shape. You know, so that during that winter, you know, and all went on, you must have lost 25 pounds, 25 pounds, got yourself into shape. You know, thanks for listening. You know, he ended up being one of our dominant pitchers, you know, all the way for the few years he was here. Give the ball to Behrens, we're going to win. Give the ball to Behrens, we're going to win. Stand up, Adam. Adam Behrens, Arizona State University. And we got Pombos. Okay, Pombos was here just last year. It was kind of a fight, in a back and forth kind of way. And you know, Pombos' father, you know, he kind of pushed this along a little bit. But Pombos was playing for the Chicago Scouts Association. Liked what Andy and Tom were doing with the coaching and the presentation of their players and whatnot. I had never met them. All I know is I get phone calls. What is this that Pombos is coming by you? You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's transpiring. All I know is the kid showed up at the tryouts. He wants to come and play. You know, so pretty much, you know, the ups and downs that go on that end. He shows up, throws the heck out of the ball from third base, really good on the mound, and watched him hit the ball over the fence. You know, so I think we made contact with the other programs. Hey, man, the guy wants to come here and play. So he's coming here to play, whatever consequences hitters has to make, whatever penalties you're going to put me on or whatever, but the kid's here. You know, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Stand up, Pombos. Pombos Nicolotis going to University of Illinois, Chicago. Okay, Aiden Shinek. Or is that how you, I always pronounce it wrong. Shank. Okay, I always called you Shinek. So, anyways, Aiden came in, he's part of the Janesville connection. Jacob Campbell, the Blumgren brothers, Trevor Foss, and the guys that have come. Aiden showed up freshman year of high school. Left-handed bat, left-handed pitcher, left-handed outfielder. We didn't know what he was going to be. All I knew is he was going to hit. You know, he can really, really hit, really, really hit. Where it all started, where I remember it, was in the fall of the Chicago Scouts Association event, and he just hit every baseball that, in the CSA, we were playing in their tournament, playing at Nash Park, and then we played at Parkside, and then we played at where the Kenosha Kingfish play. And he just went out and hit every ball thrown to him that day that I was with those guys. You had some ups and downs in your last year, but that doesn't mean you had a great high school career, great high school season. So just get back to what works best, right? So make your contact, hit the baseball, all right? Aiden Shinek, stand up. North Dakota State University, congratulations. Jack Council. Jack came in as is Brady's little brother. I mean, he came in with the infield camps, and I'll never forget the first time Jack came in in our infield stuff. And I'm like, you remember, Jack, man, the trouble you had with the footwork? I said to Brady, Brady, you didn't teach your brother a thing when he came in. He says, RJ, man, my brother won't listen to me. You know, I mean, we go do stuff, but as far as that goes, so. But in a 2-week time, Jack had turned himself into, I'm not understanding it, to be one of the better guys with the footwork. You know, just the basic footwork of throwing, he picked it up, you know, quick. I don't know if he picked it up from what I said or the guys in the room at the time, the Millers, the Councils, you know, the Killens, the Voights, and all the guys that you had the pleasure of doing infield work with. I mean, that was special. Those nights in here, it was crazy, stupid talent on those Monday nights. Alex, when you first started with the ground ball work. I mean, I got videos and stuff that I'll pull up on my computer, but it was a lot of fun on the Monday nights. Well, Jack, you're going to hit no matter where you go. No matter what you do, you keep the fielding going better and better and better all the time, and you're going to be one heck of a player. Jack Council, University of Michigan. Okay, Gianni Royer. How do I ever forget this? Johnny, you came in as a middle infield guy. Okay? Then you found out, okay, am I going to play middle infield with Alex and Jack? No. So what he did is he transformed himself into one of the best center fielders we've had in our program. Tom can attest to that. I mean, incredible. If you can imagine, we've had 3 players in all the years I've been here, okay? First one is Owen Miller and Jonathan Stevers, and they were in the same class. Owen Miller was the best high school player to this day that I've ever had the pleasure of coaching. You want to talk about a guy that is absolutely freaking dominant. I mean, he'd go out in a tournament and have 7 doubles, a couple of homers, make every play no matter where you put him on the field. Right? He was the shortstop on that team. Gavin Lux had to play second base. I mean, Owen was that good of a high school player. Broke his hamate bone in his hand, finished the last 2 weeks and still hit home runs. Had hamate bone surgery. A month later, he's playing in a collegiate league as a high school graduate. Is that high school league's or that college league's player of the year? He was the best player in it as an incoming freshman. Okay. Owen Miller only had one school that even had interest in him, and that was, and Owen was our best player. I told everybody that. He said, you got a man crush on Owen. I said, no, I don't. He's the best player we have. Illinois State was the only offer that Owen got. Owen walked on or went there, took his offer, played 3 years. Was a 3rd-round draft pick. 2 years later, he's in the big leagues. Okay? The other one is Jonathan Stevers. I could not find anyone that would take Jonathan Stevers on the mound. Jonathan Stevers was the best arm in the Midwest. By far. He went to the area code tryout, didn't get taken. Was 88 to 90 miles an hour, but could flat out pitch. He was also the Wisconsin Football Player of the Year. Chris Lemonis, at the time, was still at Louisville, took the head job at University of Indiana, called me, says, RJ, you got any players? I said, I got the best pitcher in the Midwest, signed him. Boom, next thing you know, Stevers shows up, wins their Omaha Challenge, is a Saturday starter as a freshman, Friday starter as a sophomore and a junior. 2 years later, he's in the big leagues with the White Sox. Okay? Gianni, I'm not saying that that's going to be you. But what I'm saying is Gianni was our best player, stat-wise, running-wise, hitting-wise, defensive-wise, everything else through the 2 years. And all you got to do is look at the numbers. He's a 6'4", 6'5" runner. I don't know how many phone calls I made, Tom made, how many people we talked to. a high academic student, couldn't find a taker. You know, all of a sudden it came to the point where, why are you selling him? I'm not selling him. I can't believe that no one recruited him. But finally, Gianni ended up with a liking of the school where he can live and a chance to go on. And Gianni, you're going to prove them all wrong. Be the player of the year. Go play pro ball. Stand up. Gianni Royer, Holy Cross University. All right, next one, Chris Calico. Tom will remember this. We're busy in here. I mean, the place is packed on a Saturday afternoon, throwing room upstairs, team practices, everything else. I come out of the practice and I go up to the desk for a second, talking to Jen. All of a sudden, this kid walks in real quiet, looks over the counter. I want to play for hitters. How can I play for hitters? And I said, what? He says, yeah, how do I get to play for hitters? He's by himself. So I said, you got a glove? He said, yeah, go to your car and get a glove. I said, Tom, here's a grad class guy. And I don't even know who he is or anything. I says, okay, come on in. We'll get loose, and starts throwing the ball. I'm like, Tom, this kid's got a chance. What do you think? He says, yeah. So I said to him in the back room, in the throwing room, where are you from? He says, I'm from like the Westby, up by La Crosse. I'm like, how the heck did you get down here? How did you know that we were ever going to be here? He said, I did, and I was doing a showcase in Kenosha, and I always heard about hitters, so him and his mom, they stopped in. I didn't even meet her till later. So he came in, made an impression. Still soft-spoken, little skinny kid. You know, we kept saying, get in the weight room, get in the weight room, get in the weight room, right? Kept getting stronger, getting stronger, getting stronger, could hit. Would call up and send video from up there, questions asked. That's your best thing, Chris, is you're never afraid to ask questions. You're never afraid to ask for help. So it all works out with relationships that we have with coaches and whatnot. He slipped through the cracks on a Division I level, and someday you'll play at that level. There's no doubt. So a really good friend of mine up at Madison College, his name is Mike Davenport, has had several of our players, and they've done really well. Chris, stand up. Chris Calico, Madison College. All right, first time I ever saw Alex is I was out at Five Diamonds watching Tom's team play. He says, you got to come out and watch us play the Milwaukee Angels. We're going to kick their ass tonight. So I go out. You guys ended up doing good. You beat them. But Tom's like, watch this shortstop, man. I'm going to get this shortstop. And at 12 years old, you knew Alex was special. I mean, to this day, it's, you know, Alex, I always tell everybody you're the best defender. Owen Miller was the coach. I mean, that was the coach's dream. He could play anywhere, made every play, and flat out hit. But you're the coach's dream as an infielder. I mean, it's fun, and it's fun to see you teach the kids. You know, giving back. I mean, that's what's special on that end. You know, sure you make a couple bucks, but you do it like you do it with something that you really like. You know, so I get a phone call from Coach Snyder. We already have a committed shortstop, a hitter's committed guy, ahead of him, and then we have a hitter's guy that's committed again. You know, so it's like, he told Dan McDonald, you know, like, I can't keep getting hitter shortstops, and he says, why not? Everyone that's played here has went out as a draft and whatnot. So they have a kid there now. Knapchek is his name, a smaller statured guy, and Coach McDonald gets on him. He says, hey man, you keep on bringing these big stiff guys that can't play short, that think they can play short. Why don't we get more guys like Knapchek? So that afternoon I get a call. Schneider asked me for Alicia's number. Can you have Alicia call me? Alex calls him. And so on. Alex, you'll be able to defend with the best of them there. Just got to get the hitting going. Get on base. That's all that matters. Yes, all you guys that are going to college, remember in BP, an F8 is not good. Count your hits and your BP in practice. Okay, Alex, Alicia, He's going to the University of Louisville. All right, these next guys, all the rest of these guys that are in this line, I pretty much all knew them when they were about as big as this table. Okay, I remember Zach Olson. Zach Olson, I still remember Zach coming in and doing one of our classes, like the 6 to 8-year-old class or 9 to 10-year-old class. I can't remember what it was. And came and played, and then he was with another guy, another Oak Creek kid. He played for PTA. That was a good player. You two guys were the best guys in the class. And I was like, hey, man, you guys got to come play here someday. Well, I think a year later, Zach showed up to tryouts, made the team, went on. He's one of the first guys that I've ever had a chance to coach that was as athletic as he was, could defend, could throw, and he came in and wanted to be a PO. You know, put all his marbles into one thing about being a pitcher, because I thought you could really play the outfield, and I thought you could hit, remember? But, you know, and that being said, just keep on plugging away, man. You throw strikes, and especially with the guys that are going to pitch. All you got to do is get guys out, and you stay on the team. You know, keep on going out there, and they don't get hits, you're okay. Okay, Zach? Zach Olson, University of Hawaii. Okay, JT Kellenick. Okay, JT, honest to God, the first time that I think I ever had a real conversation with you, I mean, I've known you because your brother was playing, was coming out of that cage right there, and you were so proud you came up and showed me your busted bat. I hit the ball so freaking hard that I broke my bat, RJ. You know? He had a big hole in his bat, and you couldn't believe the smile on that kid. Right? Look at Dad, I broke a hole in my bat. You know, and that attests to it. You know, the little things that can make a guy turn around and love baseball. You know, okay, man, he was just taking simple flip and he broke his bat. But now he wants to get to bigger and better things. I want to be better. I want to be better. Now I want to hit the ball over the fence. Now I want to run faster than everybody. I want to be stronger than the next guy. Well, that's JT in a heartbeat. Right? The non-satisfaction in what you do, but the little things that make you happy. We saw that today. Right? You hit into a double play, hit the ball hard, upset. You know, got a little dink hit, that made you happy. You know, it didn't even matter. You hit the ball hard, it was off the ceiling, okay. But things that way. So always keep it in perspective, JT, the little things. Right? What makes you happy, what makes you smile? Because without that, man, life is miserable. All right? Stand up. JT Kellenick, Grand Canyon State University. So you three got to hook up for dinner sometime when you're down there. Don't forget, you guys are buddies. All right, the next one. Imagine you have a tryout, okay? And at 11 years old, Addison Tevez, or Tevez, or whatever you want to say, was the perfect example of the kid that knew everything. Okay? He would be in the cage, and I'm not kidding, he would swing the bat harder than any high school player we had. He didn't care where it went, what was happening, as long as he hit that ball as hard as he could. How many times did we tell you to keep your head still, Addison? Okay? But the effort that Addison put into the game of baseball is incredible. The conversations that I've had with Addison were like adult conversations with him since he was 11 years old. I could not tell if he was just joking with me or if this is just how he was. I think at 11 years old, he had a sense of humor that he knew that he could get away with a lot of stuff as long as he just talked to me like an adult. But I remember up in my cage 2, Alex, Addison, it would be incredible how hard I couldn't believe it. And I used to say, guys, watch this, man. You know? And then every at bat as a youth, how far were you trying to hit it, Addison? Out of the cage. Yeah. We'll stand up. Addison Tevez now is a pitcher going to Madison College to play for Coach Mike Davenport. Congratulations, Ed. Okay, the next one, TJ Schuyler. Okay, TJ, I met in here with a guy we called Spaghetti at one of our classes. I think you guys were like 9 or 10 years old, or 11 and 12 years old. We had shortcomings on that team that year, which actually was a grad less, the 24 grad group, and TJ was age appropriate. Ended up playing for those guys for a couple years, you know, and then made his jump. But coming in, I was like, man, this has got a chance to be really good. Jacob talked about the student of the game kind of thing. I think along the years that I've been here that I don't really think I've met a high school player that kind of really tries to understand the game of baseball the way that TJ does for himself. You know, how do I throw, my arm care, receiving, how can I get better doing that? It's a tribute to the seriousness you take in your craft. You know, TJ, proud of you, man. It's been a long run. I'm gonna miss you. Stand up if you would. TJ Schuyler, University of Indiana. Hey, Boston, you're the longest tenured guy here. The guy that started, stayed when others left. I don't think there's anyone here that'll remember this, but one year, it's not the first meeting that I have at Boston, but it's the thing that'll always stick in my mind. One winter, Boston broke his wrist. I don't know if it's snowboarding or football or something, but he was in a cast, seriously, the whole winter. And he played every game that we played with a cast on his hand. He hit one-handed, would hit balls off the windows. Remember that? What's that? Yep. But I'm just saying that you know, he came to every class, did everything that he could. You know, swung with the backhand, right? He couldn't glove it, but he could still throw, and he still hit. I can take a perfect example of that into today, a high school kid. You know, I give the parents credit for dropping them off. You know, a lot of, hey, man, you can't do nothing. But Boston did everything, and he actually became better. Became a better hitter, right? His arm got better, everything else that he did. But I had a young man today, a high school player, sophomore in high school, hurt his thumb. At basketball, I sent him a text. I said, well, you need to come in and get one of the uniforms they're in and come to practice anyways. There's a lot of stuff that we're going over today. Well, he showed up, and that was in text, you know. It was in text. He showed up with a thing on his hand, and in his sweatpants and his jacket, and he had his mom with him like she's ready to go. You know, like, well, you just showed up for 5 minutes to hear what I had to say and get your uniform and leave? I said, today was a day, the guys can attest, it was a pretty good day at practice just to go over some things that need to be done on a baseball field next year. So I'll guarantee you, you know, in a month or month and a half when he decides to come back, he's going to be behind on all of our defensive coverage and everything else like that. But it just goes to show that Boston knew just because he was hurt that he could still get some work in and get better. Boston, if you stand up. Boston Halloran, Oakland University. All right, a couple of things, you know, in my life that I want to thank. First of all, you have to thank Jen and Betty and all the desk people and everyone that you see here that keeps the place in order. You guys pick up your balls and everything, but there's a reason that the place is kept clean for you. You guys do your job, but they deserve a thanks along the way, all the years that they've done here. And then, you know, thanks for allowing us to do what we do. We appreciate you, all the parents here. Without you and your support, obviously we can't keep the doors open. It hasn't been easy to play here. We never told anyone that it was easy. But at the end of the day, your result is going to be I get a chance to play baseball after high school. some of you are getting a considerable amount of money to go play college baseball. You know, don't take that lightly, because like I said, it can be taken away. Also, I'd like to thank my mother. She's sitting in the back. Some of you maybe not have met her. My brother Gary. And most of all, man, the guy that really, really got me to really love baseball at a young age is my dad. And man, do I wish he was still here. The relationship that we had, in the pride that he had in the hitters. You know, he used to come out to the other academy when we had it. He'd just sit and watch. I didn't even know he was there. He would show up in the afternoon. You know, at the time, Burger King had 2-for-1 chicken sandwiches, and he'd bring Ross and I a chicken sandwich and just want to sit and talk. You know, all of you guys, man, appreciate your parents. You know, sometimes there's ups and downs, man, but nobody loves you more than them. No one wants, you know, no one's more proud of you than them. You know, so up the level of pride. You know, your academic work. You know, like Jacob said, the money you can make in NLI money. You know, whether it's $5,000 a semester, $3,000 a semester, $10,000 a semester, but put that back into your college debt, not in your pocket. You know, relieve some of the stress off your parents. You know, and at the end of the day, sign your contract. If you have any college debt, pay off your college debt with the contract. Like once again, I mean, I'll never forget the day that I got that phone call. You know, I mean, for 3 years, I was on the phone with the kid once, twice a week. He'd call, we'd have conversations, and that's all he was worried about. Man, I'm going deeper and deeper in debt, but just work harder. You know, there's a chance for you all to make money. You know, once again, you want to play pro ball. Don't sell yourself short, but if that's your goal, then chase it, because you can still be anything you want to be. You know, you're at that age. You know, go get better. You know, things that way. Parents, again, I thank you. We're going to have dinner. You guys will start your line that way, and then we'll work the tables across. There's plenty of food for everybody. Guys, after the dinner, let's, Betty, is all the food ready? Okay, after the dinner, we'll all line up and everyone can get their pictures and whatnot, and we'll go from there. Again, I thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of Hitters the last few years. Thank you.